Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
And we get the back view of him. And I mean, it's just a mega.
52 yards is a long shot. Magnum PI, what we named him. No idea.
Just a magnum.
Yeah, just a magnum.
Come on, Cam last year, we said probably 150, mid 150.
Yeah.
Same doe from the morning come out with that 9-pointer.
Here steps out this 90-inch 8-pointer. You're like,
I'm like, okay, well, there's still a buck back there grunting.
Yeah.
And then out steps like another 90-inch 8-pointer. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm like, deer, right there.
Yeah, like
and he's already
yards.
30 yards.
Yeah.
He was literally 5 yards from the base of the tree. Could have been, had a buck down at 1:40 in the afternoon, back there deep on public. 3 does come out pretty early. It was like 245, 24-yard shot, sent the combat veteran, and I tell you what, man, dude, it just smoked. We always get so jacked up when the other person kills. It's just almost like we got it done.
Yeah. And when you killed that doe, I was like, hell yeah, man.
And we come down here to Missouri.
I asked Comey one more time. I'm like, is it a good buck? And he goes, yeah, real good, solid buck. I'm like, all right, boom. And the deer just drops. Sure. Super special meat.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy. Baller rut.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes, and I hope you're having an absolutely fabulous day. We're having a banger day because we got some badass news that we're going to reveal after we get into the people that make this possible. We're going to start off with Last Breath TV. What you got over there, homie?
So the launch party, absolutely epic. Absolutely epic.
Films were smashing.
Just as
People having an epic time. Hats flying everywhere. Shirts flying everywhere. Gear being handed out like trick-or-treat candy. Shit was off the chain.
absolute prime environment.
Yeah.
After parties on point. So
Ready to literally get into the woods after that.
huge thank you to everybody that traveled to see us. Guys are driving hella far to come see us.
And driving back, dude.
And back. So
Epic.
hopefully next year we can get the word out a little more and we can meet more people who listen to us and watch Last Breath and grow that thing into the event that, I mean, if it grows more, I mean, that's going to be
The Midwest film event of the year.
Yeah, so that would be incredible. It if you go to one, you're gonna make a plan to come back.
Yep. All right, what else you got? You got Exodus?
Yeah, you got the trail cam tip of
Yeah,
the
I
week.
want to hit a trail cam tip of the week. One thing, we're putting out cams now. We are notorious for getting bushes moving in the wind. Tree limb, little grass blowing. We crush that every year. We got 2 cams where we get 2,000 pictures of grass or a tree limb or something. And one thing that I noticed is very beneficial is on Lift 2, there's a viewing screen. So my trail cam tip of the week is whether you have a cell cam or Lift 2, something with a viewing screen, turn that sucker on and look at what that thing's viewing for a little while. You know, check it out. You might think that you're good, but that camera might be angling up, and that what it is, it seems like, is there's one bush high. You're like, oh, there's no way it's gonna get that. And then it just gets the edge of it. And every picture, you go into like 60, 70 pictures before you realize that you're like, what am I getting? And then you see the wind blow, and you're like, oh, there's a limb that's when the wind blows, it's just coming in, you know? So that's one feature that I really like. You got a mobile, you can let it take a picture, but if you got that viewing screen, you can see what's on the edge, you know, and wipe that stuff out. So you do not have that 2,000 pictures of bushes.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Every year. You know, it's absolutely terrible. It drains your battery life, fills your SD card, and it's a pain in the ass to check. Because you're going through there and you're like, I don't want to miss anything. This is a really important card pool right before season, you know, and then you're like, okay, nighttime's probably $3.
Yep. Slow down for the nighttime picks.
All right. What else we got?
The bow hunting league.
Yeah.
Guys, the team list is growing. You have until August 31st to get your team signed up. So that is good news. if you're like us and like to wait till the last minute. But we're already signed up,
Yeah.
so we're good. Not only for whitetail, but there's also a separate elk league if you're headed out west for that. There's also muley and blacktail in with the whitetail league. There's just little plus and minus some inches on that. We can get into that when you guys get signed up. And it's all free to sign up. It's all free. All you got to do is go over to bowhuntingleague.com, get your 3-man team in there, and you are eligible to win over $50,000 in prizes for free.
Yeah, and if you're one guy looking for a team, there's guys on there every day looking for team
us.
members.
Look,
You could live in Missouri. This dude could live in Florida. Like, there's no, you could be on a team. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best thing about it.
a thing that's free. You go out, you kill a giant deer, and you get to win stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And like you said, it's literally a free Facebook page that you get to compete to win or draw. You don't even have to shoot a deer. You just could get free to enter and win some badass stuff.
Right.
For free. You know.
Just your name and your email on the website.
Yeah. Boom,
You're
you're done. All right. Well, that's it, guys. Okay. So the good news, you've been waiting for 5 minutes to listen. All right. So we got a lease.
I've heard this before.
Yeah. We're not going to lose it October 12th. We got a lease finally. It's absolutely painstaking to get a lease around my area. And I'm not telling anybody where it's at. Don't even message me. Don't even sniff around the area. Try to catch my scent because you won't find it. I'm a complete ghost out there. But we've got a lease, not giant, but all timber and connected to really good stuff. Already shooters on it. Been glassing them up. Got the trail cams out there smoking. Can't wait. The renders are out there going to be bebopping. But it's a brand new piece. So you got all the excitement, wonder, what's on there, what are the deer going to do? And that's what it is for us. It's collecting that data, running the trail cams, and figuring these deer out and beating them. Like, we can hunt them in the rut and beat them, cool, but we want to beat them like just raw dog out there, one-on-one.
Be a little strategic.
It's like beating them in horse, a game of horse. You know what I mean? Like, I smoked you, dude. You're at S. I'm at S and you're at E. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I. But anyways, this episode, we're going to go through how we're going to approach this lease. We don't have a lot of time, right? It's late July.
Yeah,
It's go time. This is a lease that we know a little bit about the area, but not a ton, right? We don't know. We never ran cams in. We don't know a ton. First, I'm going to go about how I got the piece, and then we're going to get right into the stuff. So
yeah, and like the stuff is not just like how we're going to approach this piece, but like how anybody could approach a new piece.
This could be
ground.
a piece of public. This could be a piece of new piece that you get permission on. This could be a giant lease you get. This could be a 5-acre piece that your brother's like, yeah, man, you can come out here and hunt by my house. Like,
send your 6-year-old over there. They always kill it.
Yeah.
200.
Yeah, sure.
And a little 3-5 acres.
Yeah. But anyway, so I asked this lady, almost bought this ground right on the edge, canceled me on that. Then asked her 4 times, no message back, get a random message back about, yeah, you can, we'll do something.
Middle of July.
I've been asking since January. The other piece that we have that we work to hunt, the other piece of private, that took 5 years, guys. 5 years to get permission. This took about 2 and 4 months, or over 6 months, 4 times asking if she thought about leasing any.
Like 6 months hardcore.
Yeah, you don't want to get like annoying, but you just say, hey, you check in. Hey, hope everything's going good. Hope you had a good Easter, whatever. If you do end up letting anybody lease this ground, let me know. I would like to have first dibs. Just that, just being nice. And that's how it worked out. And here we are. We got what we wanted. We got timber.
Yes.
Timber. We're not hunting some creek draw bullshit that we're used to. Okay. But we're going to go into how we approach the public the first year we were on it. We're going to do the same thing on this private, but on a smaller scale. So hopefully you guys can take a little bit of information on how you would approach a brand new piece of ground that you just got permission on. So first thing that everybody always says when it comes to whitetail, look at your maps. Okay. And for us, it's a little bit smaller, right? So it's not really hard to look at the maps, but look at the topo map. Maybe there's something that you want to look there. And we did that. We're like, okay.
We looked at like 2 or 3 different
topo
terrain maps.
And stuff pieces together. You're like, okay, yeah, this flows into this. It gives you a really good idea of what the land looks like without covering the whole entire thing right off the bat. And this can also be good for before you lease something. Like before you put it in an offer to lease something, you can look at the topo and get a really good idea of, okay, that could be a pinch point. This is a draw going into that draw. There's 3 draws coming out to this field. And you kind of get an idea of how steep the draws are, what you got going on. A little bit better than looking at just a satellite map. That's another thing. The satellite map compared to the just aerial map is completely different. Look at the satellite map. If you have an app that updates the map, that is key too, because one map shows a bunch of fields that are actually now overgrown pasture that are not fields anymore. So if you looked at that map and it showed, oh hell, there's little cornfield here, there's a little cornfield over there, or there's a hayfield here. Well, that's not actually what it is. It's actually all overgrown pasture now. So we got the most recent map we can find, and look at a bunch of different things. Look at the topo, look at the satellite, look at the terrain, look at the 3D.
Yeah, the 3D was actually
it was pretty beneficial.
Pretty cool.
It kind of showed you some different shit. So that's the first thing you do. If you got a giant piece of public and you kind of want to get an idea of where you want to start, break out the maps. Everybody says that. That's the starting place.
And
so
one thing about getting the lease, but you don't really have this as far as a public spot would be. But as far as like trying to get a lease, this is on the notes. We already know it's in a good neighborhood. Like we know that there's some bucks on a couple of the neighboring properties. That's the caliber of deer that we would like to shoot.
Like I know the guy that hunts north of there, like a quarter mile.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed an absolute giant a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We know the property straight west of there has slammers every year coming off that piece. So we know there's people killing good deer in the area. So the hunting pressure is there, but that's everywhere you go if you're in good deer area.
Mm-hmm.
But you just want to know, does this place hold the caliber of bucks that they hold?
Yeah. And then that's why you start picking around on the map.
You pick that area and you're like, okay, this is in my zone of I know that's good. And that's why I didn't want to fade. People were like, well, why don't you go this county? Why don't you go over there? Because I don't know. I could literally get a piece that has 6 pointers on it.
Yeah, the neighborhood part of that intel is gone.
So we do have that. Another thing that is kind of like a low-key secret tip that I do that I don't, maybe more people do.
I think more people are starting to do it.
Yeah.
As cool as it's becoming.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a good tip.
Yeah. But don't only scout your piece, scout the neighbors, right?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going on that.
What?
I thought you were going for that one.
Oh yeah, no. Scout the neighbors, and don't just scout the neighbors' land. So all these neighbors have a name on that platform. Scout their Facebook. If they got a giant on their Facebook page, they're holding a Mac Daddy Magnum, and their property's right next door to there, or you're like, okay, yeah, maybe he killed it there, maybe he's got some other piece. But if you see this guy is into hunting, or he has a bass picture as his profile, or he has kids outdoor on a 4-wheeler, okay, this guy drives 4-wheelers. This guy is into hunting. This guy, likes to bass fish. He's probably into the outdoors. You can pick up a lot of details off of that stuff. Now, some landowners don't have a Facebook, but if they do, that's public knowledge. It might be a little creepy, but when you're trying to find a spot, that's good. And just so happens, one of these neighbors we know has a box blind on there. They gun hunt. They plant food plots. The guy to the north hunts a lot. Sees stands from the road. He's got stands set outside his garage. We know that he's a fisherman. If the guy's a fisherman, more than likely he's a hunter. He's an outdoorsman. He likes to do that kind of stuff.
80% of what you just said, we seen on the map.
Yeah. And
or got the intel from the map as far as the name, and then go here.
Yeah. Look at the maps. Don't always look at the terrain, or look at this funnel, look at this. There's a lot of stuff you can learn from that map. Look at the plat book, look at the name of the guy. Maybe you know a guy that hunts to the north or owns a piece to the north. You had no idea. And you're like, oh, dude, this guy killed slammer all the time. I had no idea where it's at. Boom, you start connecting the dots. And if a guy's killing slammer and he owns a piece of property, there's probably slammers on it. He's not going to own something that isn't going to hold good deer.
And I would say realistically, a 3-mile radius of that property that you're on, a 3-mile radius. Look there, see if you know anybody who lives in the area. What they got going on, because bucks are traveling 3 miles.
It's easy. And another thing we look for, like for us, we're hunting ag country, so giant blocks of timber. If you can get in or around just massive blocks of timber, giant bucks there. Like there's just more deer density, there's more does, and there's more big bucks. Just a proven fact. We know, we've hunted podunk bullshit draws. There's a few there, but it isn't like when you get in the center. And what we're talking, it's a 40-acre piece. Like we ain't got like some magnum giant piece, but we're right in the sweet spot of where we need to be. Right? We got the good shit. All right. So also from the map, write down areas of interest that you want to look at. Like Cody's been talking about the funnels, the pinches, the ridges, the oak flats. Write all that down of where you want to start at. That way you're just not out there like flabbergasted about, oh shit, look at this. Oh, look at this over here. And the next thing you know, you've been out there for 2 hours and you haven't even really looked at anything. Get your key areas that you definitely want to hit. Like if you're on a big piece of public, like we were, last year when we really took on a giant piece, you got to pick those key areas from the map, because when you're looking at a 1,200 acre piece, you cannot cover that whole thing. It's physically, I don't give a crap what you got going on, unless you have no job, no kids, nothing going on. You're not going to be able to cover that whole piece sufficiently and understand what deer are in the area and how they're using it. That's going to take years to do. And if you're wanting to get this property, you want to kill the first year. You want to kill the first set. Put yourself in the best odds to kill the first set. Okay, next. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, what that point was, is just be realistic about what you can cover and what you can't cover.
Okay. Next thing. If you are potentially thinking about hunting an area, even if you want to lease there, and it's 25, 30 minutes from your house, drive past it late season, drive past it in the spring, see if you see any turkeys out there, see if you see any bucks out there late season. Get an idea of what you got going on. What's the timber look like late season? Is it wide open? Is it not wide open? You can see a lot of stuff from the road. Is there guys hunting on it? Like, am I trying to hunt something that there's guys already in there hunting? Am I, did all the hunters roll out? The box blind that was there 6 years in a row isn't there now. Well, maybe they left. Maybe I should ask. And then if you can make a relationship with the person, and even if they say, no, I don't want anybody hunting out there, ask to shed hunt it. People are cool with that. Most of the time, if they get to know you, you're like, hey, do you mind if I just go out there and walk around for sheds? And even let them keep the sheds. If they're worried about the sheds, to say, yeah, I mean, I want to walk it. I like walking out in the woods, finding stuff. And you can give them the sheds. They'll probably think it's cool. If it's some guy that just has a small piece like that, they might like something off the property.
And I mean, we know that about this is like, you just get caught up in the time, and maybe this guy wants to go out shed hunting, but he just don't have the time.
Yeah.
He's got kids playing baseball or basketball,
football, whatever.
Yeah. Doing a million things besides doing what he wants to do. It's out shed hunting. So just say, hey, if I find one, I just want to take a picture with it, and you can have it.
Yeah. And
if it gets you on there.
That doesn't only give you the intel for that property. That gives you the intel for all the properties around there. So if you ever can you got an area picked out, you can get in there and be like, okay, well, this deer was there late season on that property, and I'm just north of there. So there's a good chance he might come up here and feed in this ag. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Any little step that you can put the pieces together without actually hunting the piece is great. Just like in the bow hunting league Snapchat, good dude just running cams on a piece. The guy said, yeah, you can run cams out there. Had a couple extra cams. He's like, well, I'll just put a couple cams out there and see. He's like, well, maybe I'll find something that from my other property that comes up here, I can connect the dots, or maybe I can hunt it in 5 years and I just get some pictures of deer. Like, you got an extra cam, just say, hey man, I really like deer pictures. I was just wondering if I could throw a cam up here all year. I won't even come check it. I'll just come back, February and pull the card and just, well, I'll show you what's out there. And a lot of people, if they're not really into hunting, they still think it'd be cool to see what's on their property.
Definitely think it's cool.
And that's something that I was able to do. I was able to go out and shed hunt this piece. I did ask her if I could shed hunt it. She was kind of on the fence about it. And she, asked me who would be with me. I said, I'm just going to take my kid out there. He likes to walk around. And she's like, yeah, if you find anything, show me. So we found a couple, sent pictures of her with, the kid. The kid was happy. She was happy. She's like, oh, that's cool.
Found a hanger out there.
Yeah.
Hanger.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, and another place I could walk. For shed hunts, it's just miles. You just want to get as many miles in areas. But now we know there's 2 really solid bucks there late season. If I never asked to shed hunt that piece, even though she said there's no way that you're hunting this because someone's already hunting it 2 years ago. Like they weren't shed hunting, but someone was hunting it, now I know, okay, there is some deer there. Because if you ask the guy, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, there's slammers on this piece. they're not going to come out and say it.
Any guy who's hunting's never said that.
Yeah. All right. So
unless he owns it.
Yeah, unless he owns it. Like, oh yeah, this slammer's on this piece. Yeah. So what do you got next? What are you doing next?
So you've got your areas of interest, and hopefully you're out there, you're looking at it. How many stands can you afford to buy, and how many stands can you get on this piece to hunt it effectively? And if you can't afford, 8 sets, and especially like us, we're hunting together, so it's not just a stand and sticks, it's a stand plus a stand with sticks. So consider mobile hunting, get in a mobile setup. And maybe we've talked about this already, is like hunting a stand that we have set up, that we're going to set up here in the next week or 2. And then also we have the mobile setup. If we're not in the right spot, but it's hot right now, we just go in there with the mobile setup, pop in there the extra 30 yards we're talking about, and we're in the zone again.
Yeah.
So don't necessarily have to have all the stands right now. Just maybe buy a mobile setup if you don't have one, and then you can make a move if you see something on a hunt and you need to be somewhere else, but you need to be there tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Then you just go in there with your shit, pop it right up.
Yeah. So make a plan for where you potentially want to get your stand. You're out there walking, you're scouting, you're looking at stuff, and make a plan. Say, hey, I got 4 stands in the garage, or I could buy 2 stands. Where am I gonna be the best odds of what I think just on the terrain? I got no data on this. Where would I be just so I could go out here, have a place to hunt? What's my prevailing wind? Here you go. Now, saying that, you have to be ready to completely wash everything that you just did. So you hang those stands, you might hunt it for 2 weeks and be like, shit, I need to be over here, or the deer coming out behind me, I need to make a move, or the cams are telling me to go over there. So we think realistically, we're going to hang 4 sets on this property and run mobiles if we need to. Are we going to hang all 4 sets? No, we're not going to hang all 4 sets. We're going to hang 1 or 2 in spots that we feel really good about, that are easy to get into. Like if we need to get in there and move them, we ain't going to mess anything up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can get in there, move it, and get out. But having a plan now of what you want to do is huge, and if people are like, oh, I got plenty of time to hang stands. But you don't have to only hang stands. You have to trim shooting lanes. You have to think about this wind. You have to make a plan for this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and the weeks just fly by. They're flying by.
Maybe it's just us at the ship. Maybe it's just us.
And you make a plan like, okay, it's July, or I'm looking at this place in January. I want to have 6 stands out here. Well, I got 3. Make a plan to spread the cost out of a stand, those 3 stands out 2 seasons. Having that plan is huge in being successful, because unless you're on the ground or mobile hunting only, you're going to need the stands to hunt out, and that's a cost that you're going to have to find. Same thing goes for trail cams. Okay. You need to make a plan for your trail cams. When you're walking out there, you're looking at the sign, you got to make a plan. And you don't only want to make that plan for it's July, like, oh man, this is a good spot right here in this clover field, whatever, or this green bean field. You need to make get an idea of where am I going to put a camera for November? Where am I going to put a camera for all the next year? You know, the data for next year. Where am I going to place this cam? Maybe I got one mobile. Where am I going to put this mobile at to get the best intel on this property? Because you're going into this property not knowing anything. Like, we know there's good deer in the area. That's it. We have no idea how to use the ground. We've walked out there, seen a little bit of sign, but not really like game planning to hunt the place 100%. Like, I wasn't out there like, man, I can hang a stand here. The wind's going to be doing this. Because you're just out there looking for sheds. You know, you're like, okay, this is a good late season area. Let's go walk that and see if there's anything out there. But making a plan for your trail cams. How many trail cams do you feel you're going to effectively need to cover this area? Are you going to need 10? Are you going to need 2? Are you going to need 4? And then always have one in reserve, whether it's a mobile, a regular cam. Always have 1 or 2 at your house to like, oh shit, this scrape popped up. I need to get something on it, but I want this cam over here to collect my full year data. Don't pull that full year data cam and be like, I'm gonna move it over here. Try to make a plan to have 1 in reserve where you can make moves with. And people are like, well, I'm gonna have a cam set at my house doing nothing. But it could be the value. It could be literally the thing that makes you kill. Having that cam, especially as a mobile, like keeping 1 mobile back, like super key. Okay, a fresh scrape pops up, you're in an area, boom, you move on it. It's daylight and you go in there. You know, that's something to definitely think about. So go ahead and cover. We're in there, we're scouting right now, we're figuring about stands and cameras. What are you looking at right now to make those placements if you're on a brand new piece of property that you have no idea? Go ahead and cover it. It's right here.
So looking at, just like you said, the old sign, what's there, depending on when you get on the property. Like right now, you might see an old road. That's probably about it. You're going to be looking at some trails. The big thing that we like to look for is fence crossings, where they're jumping from the neighbors at, where they're jumping into the ag field at, and trying to get an idea on like the north end to the south end, from the east end to the west end, just how they're moving through the property so you can really game plan. And that's where your map scouting is going to kind of come into play too. That topo, you're like, okay, they're going to be working right down this creek, right on the edge of this funnel. There's a pinch here. They'll be coming up right off this, out this creek, right up this hillside, pop out into this north ag field. Just look at that stuff that you can actually visually see to get a better idea of how the deer are moving through the property, so you can set up on the property and hopefully get it done. And another thing, I think it's on down here, but while you're out there, one thing that you notice is the old stands that were out there. Some of them might actually be huntable. We're going to check them, but look at like that spot. Like, okay, when do you think that guy was hunting there? And do you think that you would hunt there? Like, is it a good spot? It might be a pretty decent spot if the guy's got a stand.
Yeah, you would think like if a guy's been hunting this for a while in the past and he's got to stand there, he obviously seen something there or he thinks it's a good spot. It's not saying that it's a perfect spot, but it's definitely something you want to put in the back of the head. Like, okay, there's some reason that this stands there. Mm-hmm. And like one of those stands, there were some good scrapes around and stuff. I'm like, okay, there's probably a reason that he was here. There's some sign here also saying that, okay, maybe this is a good spot. I'm thinking it's a tough spot to hunt with the wind kind of swirling, but you know, it's super high. So maybe he realized that and he's like, I got to get up super high, get the wind blowing me straight in there. So that's just something to put in the back burner. Back, okay, there's stands here. And that's not only on your ground. You see a stand, I don't know how many pieces of property we've walked, public or private, there's a fence stand somewhere. There's a fence crossing and there's a stand somewhere. So, okay, you know the neighbor is hunting there. You put that in your piggy bank. Okay, there's there's been pressure here. There's a stand here. Maybe you can see a camera on there. Maybe you can see this guy's got a shotgun blind here. And you can put together the pieces like, okay, there's a shotgun blind there. Probably going to be shotgun hunting.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no bow windows in this thing. Like, there's no way he's shooting a bow out of this. He's either crossbow or gun hunting. Okay, that gives you an idea of what the neighbor's doing. For our piece, etc., there is a bunch of stands to the north that you can see late season on this property. You can see them right now. There's some right on the fence, right on the ag fence. You go to the back, the west side of it, there's a food plot on the neighbors right on the fence line. Okay. Now that's beneficial for you to draw deer in your area to bed next to that food plot. But you also know that if there's a food plot there, there's probably potential for someone to be hunting there. So you know, okay, there could be someone hunting there, and get a good idea of if the wind's doing this, that, you know, that guy could be in there hunting. It's just another little crevice you can put in to say, hey, there's a stand here. It looks like it's pretty well used. Or there's a four-wheeler trail right on the edge of this property. There might be traffic in and out of this. There's an easement that comes through this property that's close to mine. Like on the south side, there's an easement that goes right along the edge of the field. We know that there could be people drive through there any time of the day. Like shotgun season, there could be people driving through there all the time. You have no idea. You put that in the piggy bank of saying, okay, potential for someone to drive. If I was hunting this road along the edge of the field, there's potential for someone to drive down this, and there's literally nothing I can do because it's their easement.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something that you can put in the piggy bank. And the old sign, we're out there, like you said, we're checking those fence crossings, we're checking those creek crossings, we're looking for stuff of how the deer are rolling through the property. And if you can get a maybe not a direct line, but in my mind, bucks, they sometimes don't move in a direct line, but those does, they got a way that they go through that property, and they're cool with that. And most of the time, they don't waver off that too much. They got a line that they like to use in those doe family groups. And if you can get pinned down on one of those, okay, man, there's a pretty good trail here. The does are probably coming off this ag, working this oak flat, and going right in here to bed. And you got that trail connecting the dots. You know, man, if I need to kill a doe, this probably be a good place to set up. Or maybe there'd be a buck on this trail going the same thing that these does are doing. That's something that you can put in the piggy bank, and you could see those trails this time of year. Like if there's a heavy doe trail, it's going to be down to the dirt still, even this time of year. Yeah. You know, and the creek crossings, the weeds and shit don't grow in the creek. You know, you can see those wallered out edges of the creek, and this is the time of the year where scouting is the hardest, I think, because there's the signs all grown up, it's thick, and you just got to look for those easy stuff. You know, you can tell where there's a fence crossing. You can always tell that the fence is maybe a little bit down. There's the jump spot on each side. We've got a lot of rain lately, so we'll be in there on that creek, and you can really see, okay, there's been a big track through here, a bunch of doe tracks through here. Every little piece counts. So next thing, talk to the landowner. If you're leasing this ground, you have a relationship with the owner of the ground, right? Or if you're on public, this is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But talk to that person. Say, you know, hey, we're out here. What, you know, where are you seeing deer in the past? Maybe she's seen an absolute giant feed in this field for 3 weeks, but she's just like, cool, there's a deer out there. You know, and a lot of times we get, oh, it's a pretty good buck out there, but we're like, well, what was pretty good? Like, was it really big? And a lot of times they don't know, because they're, you know, they just bought a house that had some acres with it, and they're not hunters. So, but it's always good to have a relationship with your lease, the people you're leasing from. But they can say, yeah, these 3 or 4 does come out, you know, and feed back in the grass behind the house every night, you know, or we're driving out down the road, and there's always a buck or a doe crossing the road here. Those little details give you a lot when you know nothing. Because you're going in not knowing anything about this. So someone saying there's does back here every night, that is huge. That means, you know, the does are feeding there, and they're bedding. They're coming from this way, coming out to the field. Okay, they're bedding that way. Like, you've already put 2 pieces together on a doe family group coming and feeding somewhere, and potentially where they're bedding at. You have a better idea where they're bedding at.
I feel like this is a tip that doesn't get utilized a lot, and it's a very easy one to get a lot of information.
Yeah.
Because just think if you owned a house and you had 50 acres or the 40 acres like we just got. So this lady owns 40 acres, and or even if it's a farmer, like, and he just has his house.
Yeah.
It's like his little slice of heaven.
Yeah.
And he might not be hunting, but he likes the animals. He likes to see the animals. And it's just kind of like a little pride thing. Like, it's his deer to a point.
Yeah.
It's my deer. You know, it's just like, hey, you know, what do you see? He'll tell you, like, oh yeah. Just like you said, you know, I seen a good one or whatever.
Every time
like,
I combine at this edge, there's bucks, you know, I bump bucks out of this edge
or
in this corner.
he's out tilling in the spring.
Yeah.
He'll stop and pick up a shed. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
He's gonna stop and pick up that animal.
Yeah, and he's probably, you might not ask the guy, but he's got a pile of sheds in the back to give you intel of what's on the property.
Right.
And if you don't ask that question, he's just, you know, he's a farmer. He's like, well, this guy's probably trying to kill deer to get some meat. Most of the farmers around here don't understand hunting like we do. They're like, oh, we hunt, you know, kind of. But I'm like, dude, this is what I do.
To the landowner, it's almost like a pride thing. Like they have this spot for these deer, and they're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
You know, they're willing
People like
to
talk about stuff that they own or
it's
that
theirs.
that's
Yeah.
theirs, you know. And you could say, man, this spot over here, I really, really like this spot. It's beautiful. And then they'd be like, yeah, that's a great spot. You know, just right over here, you know, I've been seeing a lot of turkeys, or I've been seeing a lot of deer, or, you know, there's a lot of stuff. And it's so easy. And if you're like us and you want to continue this relationship with landowners, so you can kill that 2-year-old or that 3-year-old that you passed this year when he's 5, or whatever you're trying to do, you want to extend that relationship past a year. Like, we're already talking to this lady about next year, the following year, trying to be like, hey, you know, as long as you own the property, we're going to be respectful. Everything works out. We'll just keep going. And you know that you're getting this little bonus, you know, every year. You can see that coming.
Right.
And we've already put out the offer. You know, she's a single lady. I'm like, hey, if you ever need, a tree falls down in the driveway or something happens, you got both of our numbers. Don't be afraid to reach out. And you build that relationship with them. And then that's when they're going to message you and say, hey, I just seen a buck run in to the timber, because you have that relationship built. And then you're like, oh crap, you know, what was it? She's got, well, I had like 12 points. Well, that's my shooter.
Yeah.
And he's there now. You know, if you just gave this person money and walked away and hunted and didn't have that relationship, you're not going to get that random text November 1st that says, hey, a buck just ran across the driveway. Like, or a deer's out here feeding in the field or something. Just build that relationship. That's something we try to do even on public. We try to build the relationship with people. And deer hunters are solid. And landowners, most of the time, like I said, they want to talk about their land too. So, what else we got?
We kind of covered.
Okay, let's talk about, you know, you're out there, you're walking around, you're scouting right now, and you're thinking about, like, if you're us, you're like, shit, I got to get set up on this place. Like, I'm running out of time. I need to get something going, get my cameras out, and make a plan. When you're out there, don't only plan for October 1st. Try to make a plan for where you're going to go in the rut. Try to make a plan for what you think you might do late season. And you don't have to set up on that, but having that game plan, like when you're out there walking, don't just be thinking, okay, this is buck bedding. They're probably feeding up here. I'm going to get in here October 12th on a cold front. Be thinking, okay, this is a good rut funnel here. Maybe we should run a cam here for all year intel, or maybe we should think about maybe finding a tree that we could hang and hunt in here in a scenario. That's what we're going to be doing when we're just walking this property. We're not only hanging cameras and stands. We're going to be like, okay, we can get into this tree. Well, I'm shooting over here. This is what I want to be doing late season. Okay, what do you think the deer are going to be doing late season? Where's a tree that you can get into? Where's something that you can access easy? Because it's going to be completely different in late season. You got to think there's no undergrowth. It's wide open. Am I in a walnut timber right now? And this is going to be a white. It's heavy, tall shit right now. There's lots of sunlight.
Yeah.
Right. And then winter comes and there's literally nothing. No, you know, there's nothing there. It's just a walnut, open ass walnut timber. You're thinking, well, probably this might be good early, but this is probably not going to be good late season. There's no food here, no cover here. This is probably an area that I should avoid. But you see a giant pine thicket over here. You're like, oh, maybe that's somewhere I should key in late season, thinking that something might be bedded there. Or you got an overgrown grassy area. You're thinking, okay, maybe something to be bedded here late season, and I can make a plan on this, because you're trying to kill them as early as you can, but you got all year to do it. So try to make a plan on what you got going while you're out there. All right, what else? What else you got?
Do you want to cover that second one there, or like?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you barely.
Barely briefly.
Yeah. So we've talked about having a plan for your cameras, a plan for early season, late season, the rut, where you're gonna hunt, how many cameras, how many sets, got the whole plan laid out. You need to be mentally prepared to scrap all that because, like we keep saying, you know absolutely nothing. You know what it looks like. You've been out there, you've walked it, you've seen the old sign, you've seen whatever you've seen when you were out there. But this year, the crops might be different. It might be a white oak year versus a red oak year.
Someone could have bought the north and be hunting it hella hard.
Late season, the neighbor could have just smashed 20 does.
Yeah.
And it's all different. They could have logged on the neighbors, and it's changed the way that they're working.
It could be logging this year.
It could,
Like, you know,
middle of
we've been there.
October.
We've been there.
They're logging. We are just talking about that.
Yeah.
So just be mentally prepared that shit's not going to look the same, especially as the year goes on. Like it's going to change more than you might think it end up changing. And you're going to have to adjust, and you're going to have to adjust on the fly because it's your first year out there.
Yeah. That's the hardest. I feel like that's the hardest time to kill a buck. The first year out there, you got no data. You don't know what deer there. You're trying to figure it out. You're at round zero of, okay, I got the piece. Here we go. Like that's the challenge of doing it all. Cause you're looking at a new piece of ground. And with us, it's only 40 acres, but it's all timber. You get into 40 acres of timber, there's a lot of shit to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, okay, here's a field, here's a ravine. I know they'll be working this creek draw because that's the only timber I got. Like it's a little easier there, but you're talking all timber, and we got the ag to the south and the ag to the north. We got 40-acre block of timber. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and it's overgrown pasture and cedars and timber and walnuts and creeks and hedge timber and a lot of different shit in there combined. So like you said, you got to have a plan, but be in the back of your mind, be like, okay, I got to be ready to make a move because shit could change tomorrow. Like our last year, we were all set up and we lost the lease October 15th to someone else. Like we hope that that don't happen this year, but that shit happens, right? The dude's like, hey, I'm giving your money back. Someone else is money. So, but anyways, just be cool with what you got. Shit changing. But with this, we should have hit earlier, but
yeah, this is the list of shit is just Cody and I spitballing just random.
Yeah. So if you're planning on, say you want to run some new cams here, you want to hang some stands, and you don't want to buy anything else, try to make a plan on what you're going to pull, what resources you're going to pull from another property to go to this property. That's something that we were trying to decide. Are we going to run less cams on our one piece? Are we going to run less cams on public? Because we're still going in the mag. Like hands down, when it's time to be in the Magnum zone, we're in the Magnum zone. That's just how it is. We're emotionally attached to that deer. We're going to kill him this year. Calling that.
Okay, cool.
One thing I'm calling. But yeah, just make a plan on, okay, I'm going to pull 2 stands from over here. I'm going to pull 2 cameras, but be selective because this new piece might not be as fire as you think it is. It might not be as good as you think it is. And if you pull all your stuff, put over there, you'd be missing something that's happening over here. So you have to be selective on what you got going on and be able to say, even if you're feeling it, you're feeling the spot, you're feeling it, and the shit's just not there, move the stuff back to where you got that history. You got it check. You got to show. So that's something that you're going to need to do. So we talked about this earlier, but a long-term lease is going to change your goals. Like if this is a year-to-year thing, something that you bidded into. Like there's a lot of leash you have to bid into, especially if we're with the other guys. Like make a plan. What are we going to kill? Are we going to kill a solid 3-year-old? Are we going to kill 130s? We're going to kill what are we going to kill 8-pointers? We're not going to kill 8-pointers. Make a plan on what you got going on, because if you didn't sign that thing for 5 years or 3 years, it's really hard to make sure that you're going to have that. So you kind of have to get an idea of this is what we're going to do. And if you're with it, on it with other people, you don't want any grief when he shoots a buck that, like, you say, if you do this, this is the rules, you're out of the lease. Like that's what it needs to be. You need to have some solid rules to state, like, don't drive here or you're out of lease. Don't shoot this buck or you're out of the lease. Don't do this, make the rules and stick to them. And that will definitely help you out, because, or if you can hunt it for 5 years, okay, we got completely different rules. We're going to try to, next year, we're going to try to plant a food plot over here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. That's something that you need to decide what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to hit. Not only about just what you're going to shoot, but like the food plot side of it, getting some other trees out of the way that if you need to, you can go out there and May and get them down.
Yeah.
It's some guys might go out there and do that, even though they probably won't be on it next year. But if you're trying to get it done this year, and that's what it takes, more power to you. But if you've got that long-term commitment, it's easier to deploy patience.
Yeah, sure.
So,
and last but not least, this is like the biggest thing I think we need to cover. Oh, hell, there's more. Oh, shit, there's a lot more. Okay. Anyways, one of the biggest things I think we need to cover is, so you're out there, it's July, and you just got an absolute mega pimp daddy magnum out there. He's giant already, and you're getting jacked. You're pulling stuff from other properties. You're going out there. You're moving in on this deer. You literally have zero clue if this deer, October's a mile away. You have no idea what this deer does. He could leave October. He could leave September. He could leave August. Like he could stay all year. You have no idea. So you have to take the data that you get with a grain of salt. So you have to say, this deer's here and he's solid, and I'm going to hunt him if he's here, but I'm not going to, oh man, I got a 200. This is a once in a lifetime shot. And then you just bank all your gear on that area, and then he leaves and he's not on that area. That once you hunt a piece for 3 or 4 years, you're going to know what bucks stay and go. You're going to have a good idea. You might have some randoms float in that you don't know about, but you're going to have your core bucks that you keep trying to kill that you can't kill if you're like us. That, okay, this one's going to stay to like the 15th of October, and then he's going to roll out. This one's going to be here all year. We're going to probably see this deer. We have a good chance to kill this deer. Let's make a plan for that. You got to be realistic with your expectations and not get so overwhelmed and ruin it all on one buck. We did that last year on just an absolute giant typical. We put a lot of hunt into, a lot of resources into, and we got burned. We got absolutely burned on public land. But deer's just leaving. We are covering. We got 30 camps out there covering ass loads of acres. Never got another picture of it. Deer rolled out, gone, long gone, and then you wasted all that time on that deer in that area where there was literally no other deer. So it definitely, you definitely got to take it with a grain of salt and hunt it like the deer's there. We're gonna hunt it. All right, what you got?
So since this is a new piece and very little, see if there's a spot where you can get out there and do some observation sits. I think that's pretty key. I would say observation sits are something that we kind of do, but I think we're taking more time to scout in season than we have in the past. So I'm kind of throwing those two together. I feel like you can get a lot of data, especially like when we see a deer or we see a buck that we got on the list. When you just even see it, like that's light switch shit. And you can do that in an observation set.
You get to see him work through the area, how he's working.
Exactly how he do it.
You don't just get a glimpse of a picture or a 10-second video. You get to see him coming okay, he went through here, he went through this, he passed that tree, right? He took a right, went up there, he looped back around. Like you get to see all that long form data and absorb it. So for an area that you don't know, like, do you want to just go in and get in the best shit that you got, like right off the rip? Maybe on public, yeah. If you feel like it's hot, might be another dude in there tomorrow. But for us, we know there's gonna be no one in there. So maybe taking a hunt where you're like, man, I think I could kill here. I'm not sure what the deer are doing. Maybe taking a hunt early and watching an area. And if you plan on hunting next year, if you get a little bit of data, or you plan on hunting it, you know, I'm going to be hunting here late season, that deer is going to use that area kind of the same. You know, he might throw it off a little bit, but if he's working a ridge, just chilling by himself, doing buck stuff, not on a doe, that's how he's comfortable working that ridge on that wind. And that's data that you can collect. Now, maybe if you're down in the shit, you can only see 30 yards. But maybe if you set back 100 yards, you can see 300 yards. You know, you're up on top of the ridge, you got a better wind, and you can scope that, and then you can make your move. I feel like on a public piece, you can do that, yes, if you have the time. There's other hunters on you, go in there, get the kill. But if not, you know, set back. Even the hunting public does that. They set back and do observation sets and then go in and kill. They're still, you're not like just out there without a bow. You know, you're out there trying to kill, but you're not going in on the bed. You're not going in on right on the sign. You're kind of chilling and letting the shit play out, and you're learning. And the more you do that, the more you're going to learn over time to be a better hunter. So, well, I think that's about it. We hope you absorb some kind of knowledge from this.
I bet it's kind of hard listening to it because I guarantee you're almost thinking about a piece that you're already on, thinking about the shit. But for anybody who's got a new piece, just like we just got, like this is literally what we did or doing
right now. Yeah.
And planning on.
Yeah, and this is the same thing we did when we went to the public. We break it down. We're the older we get, we're trying to be more tactical with our time. And if you have a plan in place, you're going to be way more tactical with your time than if you're just going in there. I'm going to look at it and make a plan as I go. You can look at it, make a plan as you go to change shit. But if you have a plan before, it's going to help you out a lot. And this is just small stuff that you can look at, whether you're thinking about getting a new lease, you just locked one down. And like I said, looking at landowners' Facebook pages, I don't know if anybody else does that. Like, I might just be the most weirdest dude out there, like, just creeping on people. I'm not doing it to everybody, but like if there's a landowner, I'm like, oh yeah, James Block, like I'm gonna check that out, you know. That's just some random thing that's not by the land, but I'm just saying I'm gonna look that up on Facebook and be like, oh yeah, I got 9 mutual friends with this guy, and it'd be cool to be like, hey man, I leased this over here, like, you know, I'm gonna be out here this year, because you never know.
No, yeah.
I don't know how many properties we leased where there's a fence shooter. There's a dude shooting across the fence. If it ain't been hunted in 4 or 5 years, there's a dude shooting across the fence.
Definitely.
So definitely good shit. Just be like, hey, we're gonna be over here this year. You know, we got permission. You ain't gotta tell them you lease them. Just say, hey, we're gonna be hunting this year. So we hope you guys enjoyed this. Always try to do the right thing. Try to leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy is out.